Nowadays, EA is known for three things: re-releasing the same game year after year, being voted the worst company in America 2 times, back to back, and closing down studios responsible for some of the dopest games, and ironically rebooting, remastering, or remaking those titles years later.
This looks familiar.
We've made some improvements.
This looks familiar.
We've made some improvements.
This looks familiar.
We've made some improvements.
As a wise man once said, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And if that's the case, this was EA then, and this is EA now. But it wasn't always that way. In 2008, they released a game that is absolutely fucking genius. And that game was Army of Two. Army of Two on the surface was just another third-person military cover shooter diving headfirst into a market where legendary games like Halo were already well into its third installment, and Gears of War, a game that went from new IP to flagship franchise for Xbox almost overnight, was releasing its sequel the same year as Army of Two's debut. Not only did it have to go to war with high expectations, but also games that were released in 2008 like GTA 4, Metal Gear Solid 4, Persona 4, Left 4 Dead. Should have just called it Army of 4. Okay. Needless to say, the bar was set. Where they would meet and exceed that bar was the gameplay. EA developed what they called Partner AI, an AI that would mimic the gameplay behaviors of a human. And this is where Army of Two, despite the mediocre reviews and the shitty story, set itself apart from other military shooters and co-op games. One thing that co-ops like Borderlands and Halo forget about is dependency. While those games allow you to respawn and continue to play while your partner is dead, completely delegitimizing the necessity for a partner, Army of Two, on the other hand, is deliberately designed to emphasize the duo being reliant on each other. For instance, if you're downed, you'll enter a last stand, completely immobilizing you. This puts you and your teammate at risk, creating tension and anticipation as you wait for them to hopefully make it to you alive, or succumb to the overwhelm of becoming a one-man army. The downside is, you're on the brink of death, and your partner essentially had his enemy count doubled. But the upside is, you can redeem what little dignity you have left after putting your team in jeopardy by defending them from your compromised position. When you're knocked down, you can still fire your weapon, unlike modern games where your gun simply disappears into thin air. You have a slim chance of staying alive on your own, or clearing the way for your partner to make it to you. You are forced into a moment of desperation while you wait to be rescued. This complements the idea of dependency. The gameplay directly reinforces the necessity of keeping each other alive and risking your life for them for the sake of each other. This chemistry is beautifully displayed when using the aggro meter, which is filled up based on who is the most aggressive of the group. If you John Wick your way through levels, not only will the meter fill in your favor, giving you a fiery red glow, but enemy attention will be focused on you. Once you've racked up enough kills to fill the meter, you can initiate overkill mode, basically bullet time like Max Payne meets the Terminator, or like playing Hitman 2 Silent Assassin with a nail gun and gravity turned off. What ties this all together synergistically, yeah, it's a word, I double checked it, is you have a set of commands that turns aggro management into a tug of war. The dynamics of each encounter rely on your competence with making the right calls. There will be times when you need to recover, so you'll have to tell the AI to push or hold a position more aggressively to draw enemy attention away from you, which can be used to also flank more heavily armed enemies. Directing the momentum of each fight is like being a conductor of a symphony, but the sound of brass isn't music playing. You'll know when the momentum shifts or when you've bit off more than you can chew and have to call the AI to save your ass. And speaking of asses, you'll get to go cheek to cheek with your partner as well in spectacular fashion with scripted back-to-back scenarios. These pay homage to the iconic pose we've seen in movie posters like Lethal Weapon, Observe and Report, and a classic piece of cinema, Game Plan. Enemies will swarm Salem and Rios from all sides, and they go back to back with the freedom to rotate 360 degrees. It's a bullet time free-for-all, and what makes this even more awesome is whenever you rotate, the other player will duck under you. Yeah, that's not a big deal to some people, but details like that in games really make games stand out in my opinion. The AI being aware of your presence adds that much more to the immersion. Games like The Last of Us incorporated details like this when in cover with Ellie, or when you pointed your flashlight in her face. Gameplay in Army of Two always comes in twos. If you get shielded by a door, one of you holds the door and leads the way while the other fires and follows. If you need to climb a ledge, one of you plays power bottom and the other has to make sure the way is clear before you guys can go up. There is always synergy. People severely overlook the chemistry in terms of gameplay when mentioning Army of Two. Yeah, the story sucked, but every aspect of this game is anchored by the symbiotic relationship between Salem and Rios. I've never been one to opt for companions in games like Fallout, or any game for that matter. Forced AI companions always feel like a burden. They're either getting in the way, ruining the immersion with their invisibility to enemies, or stealing kills. Not to go on a tangent, but games like Dragon's Dogma have a great way of blending the two worlds of AI autonomy and player control. You can change your pawns, or companions, inclination on the battlefield to make them more aggressive or supportive. You can also change how they approach combat and how much they talk. So if they're talking too much, God of War Ragnarok,
watch the exploding one!
I'll keep that in mind.
What's also great about the companionship in Army of Two is if you're in the mood for some camaraderie, there's emotes you can do with your partner, or to your partner.
Oh, you're a fucking dead man. What kind of bullshit you trying to pull? You're done, man. You're fucking dead, man. You lost your fucking mind, bro? What kind of bullshit you trying to...
Obviously, emotes were ahead of their time, and look at where they're at now. Another thing ahead of its time was the customizations to the weapons and gear. Gathering intel or completing missions would give you money so you can upgrade your weapons enough to either put a shield on it or make it look all pretty and bedazzled. There is a huge selection, but a lot of these weapons are actually pretty useless because of the accuracy in the game, or lack thereof, because you will be spraying the entire time unless you have a shotgun or a sniper or decide to use a rocket launcher. It is dope that you can not only change your armor from light to heavy, but you can actually change your mask in the game. Now, these don't come with any benefits or detriment to the gameplay, which huge missed opportunity, but I mean, this game did come out in 2008. So if they were to reboot this, we know two things would happen. One, they would monetize the hell out of it. You'd be paying like $3 a mask, or it'd be behind a paywall, or a loot box for that matter. Or they could add benefits to these masks where it'll give you more accuracy. Maybe enemies are more aggressive. Maybe you have a faster overkill meter or longer overkill time, or who knows what else they can add to these masks. So if anything, it's kind of hard to wish for games that have a lot of cosmetics from EA like Freakstyle or Army of Two. It's a lot harder to ask for these games to be remade because we know damn well it's going to be monetized to oblivion. But overall, yes, the story, generic. Gameplay, while a little bit generic, does have a lot of genius in it when we're talking about the cooperative gameplay, because most co-ops just feel like you're playing with somebody and it doesn't feel like you're actually working in tandem with each other. It's kind of just like, okay, you're here too. You're here too. But let me know what y'all think, man. Army of Two, great game. Definitely a solid B if we were to rank this game, but it could be rebooted. I think it could, man, especially with games like It Takes Two, A Way Out, A Plague Tale, Requiem. Definitely reviving the cooperative genre because it's definitely on its deathbed. But let me know what y'all think, man. I got more videos on the way. Let me know which ones you're more interested in, and let me know if you actually played Army of Two and how do you feel about Army of Two, man. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, have a beautiful day and a wonderful night, man. Peace.